Hi, Jack Canfield here, and welcome back to another segment of Talking About Success. My next guest is Rich Sheubrooks, and you are quite an amazing guy. Rich has worked with Nike, Michael Jordan, John Wooden, Jerry West, basketball legends all over the world. You've been a recruiter for the NBA for, I think, 3 different teams, global recruiter, assist global talent. You are considered the foremost authority in identifying people around the world to come play basketball. You've worked, according to David Stern, the former commissioner of the NBA, that's how he said you're the best out there. You've worked with Phil Knight at Nike, and a whole bunch of other stuff that we talked about earlier today. So you are a legend in your own right, although many people may not have heard of you. You're about to hear about this guy. He's quite amazing. You've written 2 books, which we're going to talk about today. So I want to start talking about the first one. You had a question that you used to ask people whenever you would sit down to dinner with a group of people, and that question has turned into a book. I want you to talk about that. How did that happen?
Well, you know, it's real interesting, Jack. We moved over to Europe. We lived in Amsterdam for 2 years, and we lived in Barcelona for 16. And every time we'd go out to dinner with a group, to try to break the ice, I would say, you know, could you give me 3 names, 3 people that you'd like to have dinner with if you had the opportunity? From the beginning of time until today, who would those people be? And we'd go around the table and everybody would give their names, and we did it over and over and over again. And finally I said to my wife, you know, I said, these names coming back are very interesting. And a lot of them were very diverse. And I said, I think there's a book here. And so I had to find some way to put the dinner guests together to make it a little bit of a historical fiction, but also a self-help book. So in the process, we came up with 12 different maxims to tie with the people. And I used all the restaurants that I've eaten in, all the places that I've traveled around the world, that I used those spots. So I mean, it was like, that was strictly fact. And the fiction part was how the whole thing got started.
Well, give us a little more detail about the theme of the book, you know, the storyline.
Well, I would say it's a spiritual book. I wouldn't say it's a religious book. However, the main character's name is Thomas, and he's sort of a doubting Thomas throughout the book that this whole thing is really happening. Mm-hmm. And he meets Jesus at the Sagrada Familia in Spain, mm-hmm. and they sit down for some tapas, and he keeps looking over his shoulders and looking around thinking that somebody's punking him or waiting for candid camera to pop out.
Right.
But Jesus says, hey, name 12 people, Thomas, that you'd like to have dinner with. And he said, and he tells Thomas, I've had something on my drawing board for many years, going back to the Crusades, World War I, World War II, the Holocaust, all these things happening. We need a change in our world. And I want you to have dinner with these 12 people that you select. And after each dinner, they will give you a maxim that if they could change their life and they could add something to their legacy, this is what it would be. And I don't want you to open them. You bring them back. And so when he brings them back at the end, he has another surprise, because Jesus arranges for him to go to Jerusalem and go to above the King David's tomb and the site of the Last Supper. And he walks in and all 12 people are sitting there, and they go over all the maxims. And then Thomas has to take them viral and try to change the world.
And these maxims are principles for living a more fulfilling, meaningful, successful life.
Yes, for example, Churchill was one of the guys. And Churchill, you know, he smoked 250,000 cigars. He drank a large glass of water that he filled with whiskey every day, 2 bottles of wine at night, and a bottle of champagne. And his maxim is that if he had to do over again, he would have taken better care of himself, because he realized that really and truly health is wealth. And that was his maxim. Ronald Reagan's maxim was drive with your top down, enjoy the moment, live in the moment, feel the hair, the sun, the wind blowing through your hair, and just you do everything right in the moment. Mm-hmm. And as you go out throughout the whole book, I try to make things that were relative to how you would like to pass something on to your children and what you would like them to turn out to be. And that's where the maxims came from.
I love the idea, and I love the wisdom that's contained in that book. It's really well constructed and a lot of value for people. Now, you wrote another book called The Assist, and that was based on your experience with Michael Jordan and with Dean Smith. Talk about how that book came into being and what it's about.
Well, I was eating dinner with Michael one night, And I said, Michael, what was the most important shot that you ever made? And without any hesitation, he said, 1982, we're playing national championship against Georgetown. Tie score, Coach Smith calls a timeout, and get in the huddle, and it's less than 20 seconds to go, and they set up a play for Worthy and Perkins. And he said, I was over in the corner all by myself, and they were covered, they double teamed him, and I got the pass. I was a freshman, I hit the shot, and we won the game. And he said, but the important thing about that, I went from becoming Mike Jordan to Michael Jordan. My whole life changed, my confidence, everything changed. And I have a guy by the name of Jimmy Black to thank that gave me the assist. And then Dean Smith, he would always make his players point to the fellow who made the pass that led to the basket. In other words, the guy that made the assist. Because everybody in the arena sees the guy that makes a basket, but nobody realizes how it really happened. So when they would make that, he'd have to point and say, that's the guy responsible. Mm-hmm. And so looking at those two things, I thought, how many times in life we have received assists from people that have changed our life forever? And how many times have we let those people know and really, really thanked them for those assists? How many times in life do you give somebody an assist, and what kind of response do you get back? I think personally that people really don't know how to respond to assists sometimes. And just somebody could come up to you and say, Jack, you know, that's a great looking suit you have on. And you might say, oh, well, you know, it's something I picked up, thanks a lot. Instead of saying, you know what, I really appreciate that. That really made me feel good. And it's like in the game of basketball. If a guy gives you the ball and gives you the assist, you like that guy, and you're going to make sure you do everything you can to help him be a better player. And it's the same thing in life. And then the other assist is an assist that leads to an assist. For example, you talked to me today and you said, well, you know what, I'm going to talk to a couple of my agents, friends about you. And so even though you didn't give me an assist directly, you're leading to the next assist. And then the last assist is the assist you give yourself. There's 4 kinds of assists. So you get the one you give, the one you receive, the assist that leads to the assist, and then the most important, do you take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, and that sort of thing. And that's the most important one. I
agree. Now, you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a coach, and you have this thing where you go around the globe giving presentations. Talk about your global presentation.
Well, Kim Mahoney, who's the vice president of the NBA, came to me about 16 years ago, maybe 17 now, and she said, I want to do something called Basketball Without Borders. Will you get on board with this? Will you make sure that Nike steps up? And I said, I'll be glad to. So we started doing it on 4 continents. And we do one in Asia, we do one in South America, we do one in Europe. And then we would do one maybe in the United States, or we'd do one Australia. And so I would do 4 of those every year. And when I would do those, I started giving the talk on the assists, going back talking about Michael Jordan and Dean Smith. Mm-hmm. So I've probably given, for 17 years, I've given 4 assist talks a year around the globe. And so it works, it's good. And I would talk to the players and I would say, hey, when you get on the plane to go back, if there's some lady that's lifting a suitcase, give her the assist. I would tell them, put 10 pennies in your pocket. Every time you give somebody an assist each day, take 1 penny and put it in the other pocket and try to give 10 a day. So that's kind of how this whole thing evolved.
That's very cool. I like the 10 penny thing. This is good. Keep score. Make sure you do it. Now, you've worked with John Wooden, Jerry West, Michael Jordan, Phil Knight at Nike. I mean, a lot of legendary people in the athletic world. What are some of the takeaways you have from that you could share with us?
Well, you know, I work with John Wooden with some of his camps in the summer times down at Point Loma and Thousand Oaks. And he was as close to a saint, I think, that maybe I've ever come next to. Mm-hmm. And when he would walk in a room, you know, he was just, he wasn't a really demonstrative guy, but he got everybody's attention. And Coach Wooden would always say, be quick, but don't hurry. Okay, and I need you to figure that one out. But he would talk about his pyramid of success, mm-hmm. with enthusiasm and industriousness being the 2 cornerstones, and competitive greatness being up at the top. And he would talk to you for hours. He had great about. As a matter of fact, in a lot of ways, you remind me of Coach Wooden because you're willing to give so much information out to people. I think Jerry West is a guy that I had the chance to work with the Grizzlies, and Jerry and I have great friendship. And Jerry, he probably is a very, very considered person. He's got a great eye for talent. He knows how to blend teams. He knows about putting a culture together, the chemistry together, and then giving them a platform to have a winning combination. Michael Jordan is at the top with competitive greatness. There's nobody more competitive anywhere than Michael Jordan. And it was a lot of fun, working with Michael. And then Phil Knight, the vision that Phil Knight had. And by the way, I'll plug his book. He just had a book came out that was called Shoe Dog. And it's all about the early days at Nike and how difficult it was. And so many times the banks gave him such a hard time. And then he had to actually go with a trading company in Japan because a bank in Portland stopped working with him. And he pulled this whole thing together. Some days he'd have to get credit cards from people because he had to make a trip over to Japan. They didn't have all the funds. But he's a great visionary. He's a great guy. He went and took some classes down at Stanford on writing so he could do his own memoirs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
cool.
I just talked to him up at the Basketball Hall of Fame, and he was telling me he had a couple books coming out.
I just saw that book reviewed, and I thought, I'm going to get that book. Because one of the things I recommend to everybody that's watching this is read books written by people who've been successful. There's full of secrets in their principles of their success that are contained in story form, so they're easy to Velcro into the consciousness. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. The other thing about Phil Knight, I'll share a personal story. One of my good friends was invited by him. She had been brand expert, and he wanted to open the Nike stores, and he wanted her to oversee the apparel. And she went up and asked her what they should do, and she had gone and done research in the Nike clothing, and there were different suppliers, different sizes, like one large from one company didn't match the large size from another company, the quality wasn't, and she was so afraid to tell him that, like, wouldn't get hired. And she finally just told him the truth, and he said, well, this meeting's over. She came home, thought, well, I lost that, but then 2 weeks later he called her up and he said, you're right. And he delayed opening the store by over a year to get it all handled, which tells me how intelligent he was, that he was willing to really listen. And you talk about the importance of listening as well. We have to listen to people and really take in the feedback. So I only know him from that story now through you, but these people don't get there by not being really willing to surround themselves with talent and then listen to that talent.
Well, the mantra, just do it, but just do it right.
Just do it, but just do it right.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, you have a mantra that you said from Tennessee Williams that's an important mantra for you. What is that?
Yeah, this is something very close to me, and I started using it over dinner with my friends in Europe. And Tennessee Williams said that life is a memory, except for the present moment, which passes so quickly that we almost miss it. So, it's like stay in that moment, really, really enjoy that moment. And I think in a lot of ways the European people have a way of doing that. When you go out, you've been out to dinner with many Europeans as you travel around the world, probably as much or more than I have. And they really do enjoy the dinners at night and the fellowship together. I
just came back from 2 weeks in Italy, literally 3 or 4 days ago, and you go to dinner in Italy and it's 2 hours later, and you're outside and you're drinking good wine and you're having a great conversation, and lunch is often take an hour and a half, and in America people often run out, buy a burger, come back to their desk and keep going, and there's not that enjoyment of life, the joie de vivre. So I totally agree with that. That's wonderful. And you have one more project I want to talk about. It's your Extra Mile Beach Retreats. So tell our viewers what that's about. Well, thanks to you. I mean, this was all your thing, because when I heard about your retreats that you do, I thought, you know what, we're building a beach house right at Pawleys Island, but it's not going to be finished till next year. So I talked to my builder, and I said to him, hey, you're building our house, but I need a house right on the beach. Can you help me? And he said, I think I can. I said, well, okay. So we got the house right on the beach. So basically, and you know this as well as I, but they say that the ions in the air, the salt ions,
the blueness in the sky, the blueness in the water, and the fact that we go back to the hunters and gatherers days when you would sit back and you could see the horizon and you'd feel safe and comfortable. And that's why people supposedly have such a happy feeling when they go to the beach.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do a beach retreat. I got Jerry West to agree to come in. And Jerry West is our Jack Canfield. So Jerry West is coming in, and we have 4 or 5 other speakers that are going to be there. Kevin O'Connor, former GM with the Jazz. Pete Philo, who is a sports entrepreneur. And Joe Garcia, who's the team doctor for the Hornets. And then my wife is also a great speaker in her own right. And so we're going to do a 2.5-day retreat with an optional day to play golf. And I just hope that we can generate 1/10 of the energy and 1/10 of the enthusiasm and creativity that you have been able to generate at your retreats, because your retreats blow me away. I mean, I knew they would be good, but they far exceeded anything that I expected. And as the day went on, we're sitting there talking about curing cancer. And I mean, what an unbelievable opportunity that you've presented to people.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So if someone were to come to your retreat, what are they coming to get? What are you going to be offering them?
Well, I think basically what we're going to try to do is give them a chance to look at how to change, challenge, and make choices in their life that they've been wanting to make and maybe not quite sure how to get there. What I say is, you know, there are no traffic jams to the extra mile, okay? Because everybody will go so far and that's it. And we want to give these people a zip line to go past the extra mile so that they can reach, you know, their goals in life.
I like
and
that.
that's our whole theme about and we've got some ESPN people coming in. Fran Fracello is going to do the same thing that you do at yours with the interviews and so forth. And so, you know, we're real excited about doing it. It's in September. And the Extra Mile Beat Retreat is actually a website that we have set up, so people can go to that and check it out.
So is it extramilebeachretreat.com, or what is it?
Extramilebeachretreat.com, exactly.
Perfect. So that's where people can find out about your beach retreat.
Exactly.
And anything else you're doing, is they can go there as well, or do you have another website?
Well, actually, I'm working on one right now that'll probably be up by the time we shoot the video, and that is anassistcoach.com.
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 Very good. Very good. Well, I could talk to you forever. You got tons of stories and great information, and you're such a lively, wonderful, smiley, positive, good guy. I wish you all the best. And check out his books. Check out his beach retreat. I would love to be there. To just surround yourself with all the people that you're doing. So, God, thank you very much. Go to his website, read his books. And I think the assist is one of the most profound concepts that's come along in a long time. So I really want to encourage you to read that as well as his other book, and check out his retreat. So we have to go to a commercial break. Come back right after that. Don't go away.